Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of American Scouser TV's post-match program. Depending on where you are in the country, you're either stuck in traffic on the way home, somewhere in the Midwest, and I never know what time it is, or it's much earlier out on the West Coast, and you're thinking to yourself, "Why are these guys talking about traffic? We always have fucking traffic." I'm Gally, and I'm joined by Kazi. It's amazing how few people show up for these post-match shows when they weren't the greatest performances. Not surprising that me and you would show up to slag off and bitch, as we are two of the people that usually are some of the most critical. Sir Z, who doesn't have a computer that's working right now, says, "Good afternoon, gents." I'm sure he's following along on his phone. And Spencer says, "Hey, all." We'll get right at it, Kazi.
Mhm.
Let's start with we were on the pod or on the pre together. We talked about how this is the best 11 we have, the best lineup we could put out. Felt like it was rotated pretty well, and these guys were ready to go. A few of them rested against Accrington. Why so lackluster in the first 15 to 20 minutes? And why, once again, are we conceding goals in the first 10 to 15 minutes of Premier League matches, especially on the road?
I mean, you talk about lackluster in the first 15, 20, but we can say that again because we keep starting slowly in games. And last 20 were great, and we can get to that. But yeah, just poor, really bad. Didn't string a pass together. I thought it was the worst way you could ever play against a low block. Panicked a little bit as soon as they took the lead. I thought we panicked. Didn't think we played our game at all. When you play against a low block, you pass the ball side to side, keep moving it quickly. You miss the man out. So if you're going four across the midfield, you miss the first midfielder out. You go winger to the other midfielder, back to the other winger, and you keep missing them, and you keep missing one of them. So what you do when you get, because it's a longer pass, you draw one out, and then you've got the space. And that's
once they come out,
yeah. And so basically, if you miss one, they think, "Oh, I've got a chance to win that," and we're on the counter. The ball's a really good strike into ball to your winger, then your winger has space and you double up. We didn't do any of that. Really bad, really poor. And then frustrating, really, fella, because you get to the second half, the manager, I think he makes the subs too late. We'll get to that. And then the subs work, of course, and then Liverpool are brilliant for 20 minutes. The last 20 again. But this is not a one-off performance anymore, Gal. This is Liverpool starting slowly in football matches and then playing great for the last 20, and we'll all get blinded again. We've got to stop playing great for last 20 minutes and start playing great for 80 to 90 minutes again. And unfortunately, it's not happening right now.
So Z says, we played like we lacked ideas. Salah was poor. We'll get to Salah. I mean, he was not good. No one's going to sit here and say Salah was good. Does he deserve a day to be human every once in a while? Yes. You know what I mean? And I understand this is a big moment, but I love how we've gotten to a point where in our Discord chat, 5 minutes after the whistle, people are like, and there's Salah again in a big match not showing up. I'm like, what big match have you watched in the last 3 years that he didn't show up in? He basically owns United. We always have to go to our friend Saidu, and we haven't seen you in a while, Saidu, so it's good to have you back. Slot is becoming stubborn like Klopp, playing a game without a natural nine. There wasn't. I don't think to start this match there was any gripe with starting Diaz through the middle. It's worked in a variety of matches so far. I think the manager likes the way that it sets up, and it gives him more flexibility. Had he had Darwin, he might have maybe thought about playing Jota from the beginning, only because he has a different change. But I think if you don't have Darwin on the bench, then I think you're going to start Diaz in this match anytime, right? I mean, I know Saidu's frustrated. He probably wanted Jota from the beginning, but
I agree. I think we all agree that if Jota's fit now, that's it. Has to play every game. It's not even in the league, especially. He has to play every single league game. The only cup game he plays in the next 8 weeks is probably the League Cup semi, and he just plays every single league game. You know what I mean? Because that's this thing of Diaz playing down the middle now. That experiment is now over, completely over. It cannot happen. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for Diaz. It doesn't work for anyone really. Diaz doesn't make the runs that Salah has his best 20 when Jota came on. We got Salah into the game. Yes, he missed his chances, and we can get to that, right? But he had his chances then. He got his chances, right, which he missed, but he played a lot better when Jota came on. So I think that's now experiment is now over. It doesn't really work properly. And yeah, it's just frustrating me. But I think it was probably a game too far for Jota to get the start now.
Right.
You know what I mean? If the game was next week, I think Jota definitely starts. Do you know what I mean? But it is what it is. It's really frustrating. It just really frustrating, Gal, because you have a chance there to really just grind gears into teams and really grind them into the ground. You score, win the game 2-1, and you just go, it's over. In effect, you know what I mean? You go to Brentford and win. But now you've got to go to Brentford, and I always tell you about draws, Gal. Draws cost you leagues, not defeats. And we'll find out if that's a good draw if you beat Brentford.
Yeah, that is a good point. Sadhu mentions, Gally, I was hospitalized for 53 days. So it makes sense only because you're a regular viewer of all of our programs and the commenters. So hopefully whatever it was that you were in the hospital for, you are doing better and they've healed you up and things are going well. And hopefully this side will start to put in some good performances to give you better emotional reactions and afternoons than we're having right now. Because this is a frustrating one for me. I can sense it's frustrating for you as well. I hate the idea of allowing people like mental belief that they can creep back into it, because that's what happens every time. Like, because let's be real, if we were Arsenal supporters right now, we'd be like, see, it took a crazy corner kick that they make fun of us for scoring all the time on with their two subs, right? Like to get a goal against Nottingham Forest. Now, Forest has been playing really, really well. So I don't think this is a terrible point on merit. I think it's a terrible point because I just watched the 90 minutes and the performance, the effort, and the fact that it looked at times like they were just being. There were times where guys were lazy and kind of going through the motions. And you might be right, they were tired, but there were also times where at the end where it looked like they had their tails up once they tied it up and they thought they were going to win. And if that's the case, maybe that's why Virgil was so frustrated and angry and yelling at everyone who would listen on the pitch. I feel like at some point today, he yelled at every single person. He might have even yelled at himself in the mirror at halftime because he was so mad. And it felt like he was mad with either the effort or the mentality. And when I say mentality, I'm not talking that whole like monsters put up with. I'm talking the mentality of like doing the job they were sent out to do there. Because it looked at times like guys weren't on the same page. McAllister, Soboslai, Gakpo kind of drifting in and out. Just a really, really frustrating performance from a bunch of guys. We've been so accustomed to talking about their professionalism as being their number one trait as a collection.
But Gallus is not the first time we're having this conversation, brother. Like, it happened against United. They were garbage against United for a lot of the game. Garbage. Gets over the line, get yourself a point back and things like that. And Leicester, we start slowly, really slowly. Get into the game, of course, score a goal at the right time. Newcastle away, poor. Okay, we should win the game. Kelleher makes a mistake and that's fine. But, we've got to stop starting these games slowly, fella, these footy matches. It can't keep happening. And again, I'm so frustrated, Gav, because I'm not asking for Liverpool to be unbelievable and fucking win every game 5-0. I'm not, but I'm asking for the bare minimum sometimes, fella, to apply yourself in the correct manner. You know what I mean? Like, as a starting football player. I've been a Diaz doubter. I've explained this on previous podcasts about my thoughts on Luis Diaz. But is that good enough for a starting forward for Liverpool? Like, you're out of position, I can swallow that. But still, you're still a starting forward. That doesn't mean you have a bad touch. It doesn't mean you can't control the ball because you're out of position, does it? Do you know what I mean? Like, all right, it can affect your runs and how you when to go, when not to go. But that performance isn't good enough. Mo Salah's allowed one of them. You can throw one of them in because he's fucking carried us to this point right now.
He's earned it. Yeah, that was my whole argument earlier. Like, he's earned the right to have a stinker.
McAllister, poor. Forward passing was poor. Really bad. Gavin Birch plays better when he goes centre-half. Szoboszlai looks absolutely knackered. He's so bad on the ball. Sorry. He's so bad on the ball. Off the ball, he's so important for Liverpool because he starts the press. He's strong. He's quick. And he gets the ball. Jesus Christ, lad. Like, I think one of them in the first half, one of the passes, I was so frustrated. I was nearly throwing the house apart because you got yourself into that position. You've worked really well to get into that position. Now make it a final pass better. It's just, and again, we can go back to numbers, and I don't want to get into this with the owners, Gal, right, and about what we need and stuff like that. But I'm all in on just bringing Bajcetic back just to help you out. I've been very vocal about this. I'm all in on a guy who can play centre half and centre midfield, who's shown that he can play for Liverpool Football Club and play well, and he plays for another football team. I find that at 20 years of age, I find that mind-boggling. That you don't think that Bajcetic can come in and do you a couple of minutes here and there. I'm not saying, okay, you can look at this game, for example, and say, well, he wouldn't have played in this game. Okay, fair enough. But you're going into the Leo game this week now, and you're not. Who's starting centre mid? Because I would love to give McAllister a rest or Gravenberch a rest, but I don't feel like we can. Do you feel like we can, go?
Probably not. I mean, maybe he might go. He might end up doing Endo and Jones, and maybe play Soboslai in front of him. But you're right with the fact that Soboslai needs a rest. He looks knackered, and he had 3 games off.
And he was sick though, and you know what it's like when you feel sick. If you've had the flu or something, fella, you don't feel right for 10, 12 days after it, and I can swallow that. So I understand he's been ill, the lad's been ill. But now, this is my point though, when I'm saying, oh, people go, you just want players to come in and start centre mid. Yes, of course, I'd love that. But if you can't do that, then protect the ones who do start centre mid. Protect them. Get your Bajcetic in. Get you know what I mean? Trust Endo to don't do 90 against Lille. Trust it. It's going to affect us.
I think he has to trust the players he has. I think he's going to have to play Elliott. He's going to have to play Endo. And it's been clear, right? Like, we can all have our opinions on the players. The manager clearly has an opinion that these players do a service for this squad, but they're not here to augment the starting 11 because they haven't gotten any opportunities.
And that's fine, Gal. And you're right. If that's what the manager thinks, okay, you're right. Say the manager's correct. So protect them as much as you can and use your squad. Yeah, Gal. You look at left back here, right? I think we all agree Costas isn't good enough, right?
We've been saying it for years.
Robertson looks absolutely finished. Feel sorry for the kid. Really do. Legend of this football club. Brilliant left back. I'm not asking for this particular player by well, but you can't go and do Ben Chilwell on loan for 6 months to get you out of a jam. Yeah, but he doesn't fit that. It's just a left back. Just go and get a serviceable left back. Because at the moment, Gal, that's all we need. Is a serviceable left back. I just want a lad to throw me a 7 out of 10 performance at left back now and then. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm not asking for the Alphonso Davies right now. But I'm asking you just to go and do a 6-month loan if you have to. If we're sitting around as a board here, Gal, right, and go, we have targeted the left back in the summer. He's definitely coming. We've already had the word. It's happening in the summer. Well, right now it's affecting you. So you've got 2 options. You go and pay the extra 10 million to go and get Davis now, or whatever it'll cost you. Or you go and just do Ben Chilwell for 6 months. But I don't even feel like we do anything clever like that anymore. Or smart. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just being like, But all I see is, Gal, we got this Lille game next week. Liverpool need a point at home. I expect Liverpool to get a point at home. But I don't want Robertson on the pitch. I don't even want Costas on the pitch at that game. It's just now become a hindrance before... sorry, that's after Brentford, before the Ipswich game. Do you know what I mean? I'm just at the stage, Gal, where it's just like, you've got to trust this squad, Anne. You really do. Trust Elliott. It's frustrating, mate. It really is.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'd say is, he's gone to the podium every chance he's gotten, and we've given him a lot of credit for saying all the right things most of the season, right? We've been all in Arne Slot's corner, and I think the supporters should stay in his corner. He's still having a great campaign, but he keeps telling everyone that we don't need to buy players because he believes in the squad. Then use them. Exactly. Then use Endo. He talks about Endo every time he talks about him. He's the culminate professional. I ask him to play, and he asked me what position, and I know he'll do it well. It was something like that in his press conference today. And then how about this crazy idea? Let him play the position he's been groomed to be an international class player at, and just let him do that for 90 minutes and let a couple of your guys rest.
This is me. This is me part, though, fella. You talked about Jayden Daniels last week, saying I'm not sure if he's going to go out on loan. Okay, fair enough. If you loan him before PSV away on the 29th,
You're a moron.
You
If
are
he goes on loan, he should be going on loan at 11:59 on January 31st.
And you tell the club that you want to loan him to, because I'm sure this club's interested to go, you're having him on the 31st, and that's that. Don't even ask him.
And then say, sounds good.
Because if we go and get the offer that we want for Darwin, clearly, which Saudi Arabia have been interested in, if we go and get the price that we want, what's your plan with Dan's then? I just feel like, and again, it comes back to this game. So we should concentrate this game, because we're kind of going off on a tangent. But the wrestling gal comes in for these games. This is what I'm saying. This is where you trust Elliott for Spurs. Trust Elliott to do the Spurs, which we all felt like that should happen. And then you go from there. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like we're at a stage where he just doesn't trust that squad. But now it's the time you do trust them. Now it's the time. You get them a week off, you get them to Brentford, and then you go for Lille, and you just go 8 out. We have other games. Okay, the lads are fucking knackered. If you're not going to do signings, trust your squad. That's all I'm saying. And look at the loans on bringing Bajcetic back. Look at them and go, can we pull one back then? And go, that's going to help us out. Bajcetic can do a few dog minutes for us in games. We've got Plymouth away in the cup. What's he doing at Plymouth away? I'd like to win the FA Cup, Cal. I don't know about you. I think it's quite cool to win a trophy.
I want to stay in it. I like to play in it. I love the magistry of it. We talked about it on Saturday. Sir Z says deadline day is February 3rd this year. So that just means that we officially have made Timuchin's trip to Vegas even worse, because he has to do transfer talk for 4 more days than he planned to. No, I don't disagree with bringing Bajcetic back. I think it would be a smart move. I think if we needed an attacker right now, they'd be looking to bring Doak back from Middlesbrough. Like, I think when you have players that you think can help you, you should use them. It's unfortunate we don't have a center back somewhere or a young player in that, a young left back. We don't have a player that we could pull back.
Why Sesha just done centre half? He was brought up as a centre half, and
he can do the job.
He looks like a bigger kid, by the way. When he came back in pre-season, he looked like he grew a bit, and he had some weight on him as well. So the kid's clearly growing. And I'm not saying he's going to fix it all, Gal. But I'm saying if we're going to PSV away, and I want to see Bajcetic and fucking Jarrell Kwanzaa play centre half, please. That's what I want to see, because I don't care. I don't care that you get £5 million, because you're not spending.
We all complained when Jurgen sent out Jota against Michelin or whatever it was, and the dead rubber, and he got hurt, right? So why are we playing these? Like, why aren't we just sending out youth teams? So send the under-21s out for all I care if we already have it all wrapped up.
Again, I know, and back to this game, no, mate, it's frustrating. I know what you're saying, by the way. It's not the end of the world. A point away at Forest is not the end of the world, and I get that. But I don't mind getting a point away at Forest if you put everything into that game for 90 minutes. And I don't feel like we got that. And that's what's frustrating. I felt like Forest were on the ropes for the last 20. But by the way, 7 minutes injury time. He took 45 seconds at the last minute to throw the ball back into play, and the referee blows up 2 seconds after it. And you're like, fella, why are you even here?
Well, that was the point I didn't get. If you're going to actually give the 7 minutes to penalize them for time wasting, continue to penalize them for time wasting.
It's insane. It's insane. But again,
ref wasn't good, but like usual, as soon as Liverpool drops points, the first thing people do is point to the excuses. They point to the referees. They point to the scapegoat players. The ref had nothing to do with today's outcome of today's match. He wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible. He was bad both ways, like a normal English ref. For me, today really came down to, we came in with this weird tactical mindset of taking these deep shots, which I understand the deep shots if you actually get them on target and you have people like breaking into the box. None of them worked. They were miserable. So we don't get any shots on target. We are not playing the ball side to side. We're not trying to break down the low block. Then our touches and our passes in the final third were abysmal. We made wrong decisions left, right, and center. And it was all three of them. I don't think any of them covered themselves in glory. Gakpo almost gets saved by making the worldie of a goal late in the match. And Sells makes an amazing save.
He's poor, though, Gav. He's poor.
No, he was terrible.
Poor today. And again, I've had enough of these lads, like thinking that they're like a level above. There's not in the first hour there, Gav. They didn't win a battle. win a battle. Like the love him for Sadio Mane from me, right, is next level. But the one thing, right, I can say about Sadio, every time he walked off the pitch, I know 95% of the time he won his battle. Liverpool lose the game, he won his battle. That fullback didn't want to know.
Oh, the fullback had no business. He had welts. Every single fullback he ever went against needed an ice pack at the end.
He knows he played Sadio Mane that day.
100%.
He's in the ice bath at the end of the day going, I played Sadio Mane, right? And listen, Sadio Mane, that was off days and I can swallow that. Liverpool in the title race. We are now 20 games into this. We got 18 games to go. If you keep performing like that, you won't win the league. I'm sorry. And I just feel like Gal as well. But going back to the goal, that Forest score, Konate's playing centre mid. I know me and you disagreed on this. You can say Trent's flat-footed and I can swallow that.
No, I'm not saying that it was his fault. I'm saying it was that
okay.
Both sides. I think once he gets where he is, Konate is so poor. He's so poor and he's weak on the header. If you're gonna come up there, you got to clear the ball and it's got to be fully cleared. And if you sure as hell don't clear it, you got to turn around and you got to get back. And
it didn't run back. And then, by the way, I think the keeper should be better.
Well, I said that too. I said Konate's a weak on the header. Mo should actually try to fight to win the ball. Has no chance. Trent gets caught flat-footed and watches Wood run in to a space he would want to cover if Konate's making a mistake. And then Alisson takes a bad angle on a soft shot.
I don't even think it's a tough shot. I genuinely think he's just flat-footed. I think the keeper's flat-footed and kind of caught by surprise. I don't know if the keeper's expecting Virgil to get across, but I don't think the keeper's prepared at all for the shot. I think it's poor. The one thing I'd say about Konate as well, because he always loves a battle. Loves a battle, right? Gravenberch comes on and shows you what to do. He stood 10 yards off Chris Wood, let him win his header and just pick the ball up. Heads it on. Gravenberch goes, thank you very much. Places pass out. Why do you always have to win a battle? Just stand off him. Just stand. Konate has to. I have to win this big power and header because this is what I do, and I'm big, strong. Just stand off him sometimes. I just think it's just so frustrating to concede a goal like that as well because it wasn't even difficult for them. Yeah, and I agree with that as well. By the way, Alisson's been poor since he come back, and he hasn't been great for some of these goals, and I can swallow that a little bit. But again, we are expecting a normal keeper. Like we'll probably let that in, but because we know it's Alisson, you're like. That's a bit weird because he usually saves that. Yeah, but he's also the best in the world. So it's difficult to say.
It's the Mo Salah thing. You deserve yourself to have a little bit of human moments. But at the same time, we build these guys up for the superstardom of what they do and how they lift their players up and lift the team up and the side up when we need them. So when they let us down in moments, even if it's just minuscule moments, it's not a bad thing to call them out on it or at least discuss it because it shows that we're being real about it.
Can we talk about positive, mate? Diogo Jota, right? Sorry, you're a joke. Not even just the goal. The goal's a joke. It's so funny. It's so stupidly funny, the goal, that he just comes on. It's not even a kick of the ball, it's a header, which is even funnier. And then the chances he creates for himself, the movement is a joke. It's a joke. I'm kind of like down with Liverpool right now because I don't think the squad is. I've said this for months, Gally. You know, I don't think this team's ready to win the league. I've said this for months, and I haven't backed down from that. I don't think this team is ready to win the league, but sometimes opportunity knocks. I keep saying this. If he stays fit, he'll win you the league on his own, just by his sheer movement. Because his movement is a joke. The way he drops off players is unbelievable. His first touch, at times, he comes on there, looks like the best player I've ever seen for 20 minutes. He's so good. The save from Sells is a joke, by the way.
The save on the second one, and the fact that he makes that save. Incredible. And I think there's another time a little later where Shota like drags a ball back in the box. And Murillo or whatever makes an amazing block. And that kid had a great game for himself today.
Really good.
I mean, I think I said it in the Discord channel. I was like, that looks like a central defender who is like making sure everyone in the world watching today knows he can be at a club bigger than this.
This is a part though, Gal, right? You sitting down with Jota tomorrow and you go, you're only playing the league games until March. That's it. I don't even like you're playing.
You don't even get Champions League till quarterfinals.
You're not even playing the last two against Lille. That's not even a conversation. You're not playing PSV. You're going Brentford, Ipswich, Bournemouth, We're going to squeeze you in for the Spurs game, and then you're at Everton. You're basically playing a game a week now because you've got to stay fit because he's the only one with his movement, his ability. We don't even know at the end of this window if Darwin Núñez is going to be a Liverpool player. Because if Liverpool, by the sounds of it, if Liverpool get their way, he's not going to be a Liverpool player. If Liverpool get their way, you know what I mean? So he is as important now as Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah. He is as important. He's on that level because he's the only one with a brain cell inside the box of like how to play against these kind of teams. He's so good, it's a joke. It is literally now, you are playing up until every league game until March, until the Champions League kicks back in.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it. I mean, I think Jota has proven himself that when he's fit, he is the most clinical goal scorer at the club. And I know Mo does things he scores goals, but the percentage of time compared to the percentage of opportunities presented, his finishing has been so good since he's been at this club, and it's gotten better. And I think that's one of the things when we signed him, there were a lot of people that were like, you signed the second forward at Wolves like for 45 million? What? It's been a steal of a signing.
Joe's biggest strength. I think about this a lot with players, like what's your biggest strength? Every shot is the target. It's rare he's off target. It's rare he hits wide. It's rare he hits wide. So what you do there, you're giving yourself a chance to score because you've hit the damn target. You know what I mean? That sells today, makes it unbelievable. So if it's his leg, that's the one.
You also give everybody else on the side the chance to score when the keeper has to make a save, like we saw with Dan's on Chiesa's follow-up.
Chiesa shoots, he follows in, and that gives you that chance as well. That's another chance. He's just so good, mate, and it's getting to the stage where if he stays fit, you might have a chance of winning the lot. If he stays
and
fit.
I do believe, I do agree with you that I think he is probably right up there now. I think you'd probably say the most important people in this side right now are, and normally I'd say Alisson, but Kelleher has proven himself to at least be capable. It's Virgil, it's Mo, it's Jota, and I think probably the fourth one, to your point, is it's probably Szoboszlai because you have no one else who does the job in the moment you need him to do it.
I'm not Szoboszlai's biggest fan, but I agree with that. He's the only one who can run. I agree.
I'd say it's those four. And I'm the same way. I was very critical of him earlier. Sir Z says Jota looks like the laziest player on the pitch, but his runs and positioning is better in our squad. But I think that's part of what he does. I think he lulls defenders into a common sense of calm, and then he outthinks them, gets in the right spots, and scores.
Sometimes, standing still, the space will open up just standing still because the play goes on. The play carries on, so players move away from you. So if you just stand still sometimes and don't want to win a battle, I don't want to engage with your centre halves, I'll just find space this way. You'll find, and that's what he's so clever at, about finding the space that he needs to find. Do you know what I mean? He knew exactly that. If you actually look at the replay again for the goal, he's jogged on, he says something to Diaz, but he goes to go off Murillo, then he just steps off Murillo. He sees Murillo going, just takes 2 yards off him. Murillo jumps, misses it, bang. It's that, find the space. You don't need to go up for the header with Murillo. You don't need to just stand off him. And that's what smart football players do. He's so clever, mate. He's so clinical. He's so smart. It's so hard that my whole life is resting on Diogo Jota staying fit, but this is where we're at. You know what I mean?
That is a scary thing because we have watched too often to know that that's not that is not usually the common bond of things that occur. I will say this on this match and on Jota, it did make me laugh as he headed that ball in. And you look at all the tall trees that Forest have, and even the players Liverpool have, and literally the shortest person in the box, because McAllister is out of the box, is Diego Jota. And he puts his head on it, to your point, because he understands how to find space. Like, how many times you see him peel in between two Colossus center backs and still win a header or take a ball down and score? His movement is immense. His play and positioning is immense. I just hope his fitness and his ability to stay fit. And this, to your point, this is where the manager needs to make sure and protect him. And I will say this as we wrap this up. We'll know more in the next week to 10 days whether or not we sell players, we buy players, Darwin Núñez is here or not. If Darwin Núñez is going to be here until May, The manager needs to figure out how to play him and use his minutes, whether it's the cup matches, the lower matches, the dead rubbers, whatever it is, or the last 20 minutes of matches. To your point, he needs to utilize that resource because he doesn't have a brain in the box, but at least he has a physical presence in the box. And Diaz doesn't even offer that when he's running like a chicken with his head cut off and no end product. If I'm going to take a guy, I'd rather the guy with a worldie in his locker, even if it takes him, 8 passcodes to figure out which locker is his. I'll take that guy over the guy that gives you good energy and good movement and really nothing less.
You can go to PSV or even Lille. We need a point at Lille at home. Okay, we should still respect them. I get that because we still need a point and we should see it like that, right? It's a really good point. Well, let's get this correct here, Gal. Why can't he do Diaz, Nunes, and Chiesa against Lille? Like, why? That's what he should be doing. Like, the midfield should be probably just like an Endo, a Jones, and maybe Szoboszlai for an hour, and then push Jones further forward and do Mac for 30 minutes and start your resting now. Okay, I've said this before, Gal, and I probably said it on pre-matches and post-matches with yourself. The manager's going to make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. The one thing the Liverpool fans do have, we've lived through this. We've lived through challenging for 4 trophies before. The manager hasn't. It's Manchester's first time in the league, of course. So we understand how these players can be jaded. Now you fall off cliffs challenging for all these trophies. We get it. So now you have games coming up where these lads shouldn't be starting. These certain guys shouldn't be, or you're sharing the load. For example, Bradley's doing an hour, or maybe even 90 against Lille. It shouldn't even be a question. Pick who your starting left back is and the other plays against Lille. Get these lads now. You've got a week off for Brentford. Prepare for Brentford correctly. Or not a week off. You've got 5 days or whatever.
Saturday, yeah. I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts? Let's wrap it up on this because we're on the 30 minutes and we can talk all night because we're frustrated. If we were happy and we had won on the last second winner, we'd be like, let's get to dinner. Instead, we're like, let's commiserate all night together. If come Saturday, it's a 10 a.m., 3 p.m. kickoff over in the UK, what are we looking at Saturday for that match? How many do you think there'll be any changes from this 11?
Yeah. I think he has to do Costas from the start.
And Jones, maybe?
He has to do Jota from the start.
Yep.
I think he has to do. Jones is interesting, man. Jones is from your curveball. I'd stick to the same midfield. I would. But I'd also say, whether we're winning, losing, or drawing, we have to make a change in the midfield on the hour anyway. And have that in mind as a pre-programmed change that you have to do, maybe even. So I would definitely do those two. Bradley, maybe. I don't know. No, probably Trent still.
I think I'd do Trent. I think I would do Trent in this match. Plain fact that they go wide at Brentford, and at times they go forward with some of their fullbacks and the way they play. It might open up space for him to create. And I think you want a player like that against a team like Brentford.
Just has to play, doesn't he? Just has to play. It's not even a conversation now. Jota has to play now. And it's not even. Again, mate, I just got it in my head now with a manager. He has to trust this squad. We keep saying it's been a kind of the story of the post-match here a little bit, but he has to trust this squad now. Trust it for an hour. Today, that we all knew after 20 minutes that wasn't working. It wasn't working, and then
we were all asking for Jota at halftime before 20 minutes.
Clearly, Diaz was not working, and you've waited longer. You've waited longer. Okay, it's worked. You've got a goal back, but you haven't given the lads enough time to get another one. You haven't given enough time. So, yeah, Costas in for me. I'll go Jota. And he has a big decision left wing, I think. He has a big decision. They were both garbage today. But I would probably just do Gakpo. And I'd like a Diaz off the bench just as that kind of quick, tricky kind of option if it's needed.
Well, and he gives you a couple options. If you do see him as a guy who could play through the middle, quote unquote, in your mind, it gives you 2 different options of players. I think I would start Mo, Jota, and Gakpo. I'm more comfortable with Gakpo on the left than anyone else. I think he just gives you balance. And especially with Tsimikas, actually, I like your shout for Tsimikas. And I also like the idea of bringing Jones on or Elliott on like the 60-minute mark. I think the problem is that we don't have, there isn't a big option otherwise. You want to have a Nunez number 9, you want to have Chiesa flying, and those things aren't optimal right now. I will say this, I was disappointed today. I would have liked to have seen 10 minutes of Chiesa. The manager only made 3 subs. He had 2 more substitutions available to him and another sub window. I get not doing it late, but I could have seen a world where you brought Chiesa on. He was so lively in his last match. He looked up for it. It would have been nice to see the run out just to see, but maybe he gets a bigger part against Brentford. Maybe it's kind of built in. He gets 30 minutes against Brentford. At some point, too, Mo Salah is going to need more than just an FA Cup 4th round cup day off, whether that's a Champions League match or even just getting 30 minutes at the end of, a Premier League match that you have in hand. And it would be nice to get back to that point, because earlier this year it was like, oh, we take off our fullbacks. We take off these players because we can rest because we're up 2-0 and we just have possession all game. We haven't had that in a while.
I think the end we can end this on this probably. Disappointed with the performance, but not the result.
100%. That would, if this was a podcast, that would have been the name of the podcast. We're disappointed in the performance, but not the result. And we're not disappointed in the team or the side. We just want to make sure that they take the step forward. And to take that step forward, it's either going to take some new blood being injected into it, or it's going to take the management in charge of the players we have to put faith into the blood that they have. Yeah. And you got 2 lanes, right? It's the old like sliding doors moment. You get a choice here. You buy some new players, inject some life into the dressing room, and give them a little bit of unrest because some guys' jobs are on the line. Or you do the opposite. You close shop. You bring maybe a player like Bacic back that they all know and love, and you just say, you're the lot we have, and we're going to show you we believe in you and play you the minutes. Exactly. And you kick on from here.
Exactly. So I'd love Liverpool to really show ambition now, and basically really link with the player or sign a player in the next couple of days to go, fuck me, Liverpool mean business. Don't think that's ever going to happen. But what I can say is that, okay, if you don't want to do that, and you're kind of not bottling it as such in signing a player, but you've got other targets in mind for the summer who are available in the summer, just do yourself a favour then and bring the other lad back. You can kind of do a little bits, and I can't believe we've all come down to my point of January the 14th, 2025, and my answer is Stefan Bajcetic. But there we are, there we go.
Here we are. All right, my friends. Thank you all for viewing. Thank you for joining pre-match, post-match. We will be back. There is going to be a morning coffee show tomorrow. And, of course, we'll have a show on Friday. We have our Thursday night podcast. We'll be back on Saturday for pre- and post-match. Thank you all for viewing. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe, and we'll be back to commemorate the next win. Bye, guys.